Well, hi guys, welcome to the session. My name's Paul. This is Plan Z. Hopefully it finds you very well. Today we're going to be diving into Plexi amps. I've got 3 patches for us to look at, and the focus is really in this episode 2.2. Now, is the cabinets. Now, 2.1, I was talking to you about my output levels, and what I did is in my main and sub outs, you've got options to select your level. Now, in my main outs, I'm at line level, and the output level is at +4. Now, I did a video a month ago where I was talking about dropping this to -10 when using something like 2 notes and GT1000 cabs, and I liked the results. But then I ran into the bog and I ran into problems. So I've now gone back to this, and I've kind of rethought how I'm working things, and I'm really liking the results. So I'm staying on +4 for both the outputs, but my main outs are set to line level out, and my sub outs are set so we can have cabinets. Now on this patch, we've got the Plexi dialed in. We're going to look at the settings in just a moment, but I want you to hear what we're going to be looking at first. So the first one is going off into a 2 notes cab M from my main outs, and it's got the Brownie back EL34 412 on it, which is 515412. We're on the back pickup. In the last video, I then copied that patch and saved it with GT1000 cab sim on it. This is where I got to with that. I then thought, you know what, I want to change my approach to this, and I did this. Now immediately, hopefully you're in headphones, compared to, there'll be some of you out there that don't like any of the tones, some of you that like the second one, some of you that like the third one, some of you that like the first one. It's going to be subjective, but let's look at how we can process it. So, in the one marked GT2, we come in, we hit noise suppression, but I've got my low cut EQ. Now, if you've been following me for maybe a couple of years, you'll remember I used to do this back in the day. But when 2 notes came into my life, I changed and moved things around a little bit just to experiment. So let me just turn that down. Now, so what I'm doing in here is a +1 on the level of the block. Let me just change the angle of that microphone a bit. And then I'm taking out 315 on a tight Q, -6. And I'm also taking out my 500 cut here. I'll explain why in just a little mo when we get to the cabinet. Now, I'll also do in here the 125 hertz cut, okay, the low cut. So then we come off, we hit our amps. Now our amps are set up the same way. I've got the gain at 80, +9, +2 on the low gain, but when it's medium and high gain, I'm on +1 for the resonance, okay? And for the second part of the amp, where we're doing the frequencies, I've gone 70, 80, 70, 80. Now on my Plexi back in the day, I would have these all more or less the same, change my tone a bit by moving them around a touch, but depending on where you put them, depends on how loud you are, how much gain you get, because you don't really have a master volume, if I remember right, on my Plexi. But in here, we have a master volume. So what you need to do is, I'm just going to show you something here with this amp goes medium to high gain, okay? Now, what happens when I hit the high gain, you'll notice my gain goes up to 100, I've got it assigned. The volumes drop from 45 to 30, because with that change, I cranked this side. So I went 90, 100, 90, 100. So the same ratios, and I found they're kind of working for me at the moment. So that's my starting point. This EQ here is shaping my amp for me. I take 1 off the level, I'm bumping 800 by 2. I'm bumping 1.25 by 1. Both of those on a Q of 2. Nothing else happens in that block. Okay? This is the important bit. In the 2 notes patch, I'm running my dry signal out to 2 notes and my wet signal out, my sub outs. In this patch, they're both going into the one cabinet. Okay, so this is very similar to how you would be working with a side chain, because it's unlikely you're routing things the way I am. Now, the cabinet I've got on the 412, which is Marshall 59. I've got it on the blend A. I've got it pulled back to 3 centimeters, and I then put the high cut block here. Now the high cut block is taking, on the GT1000 version of the cab sim here, I'm taking out 2 on the low, plus 1 on the high, then going plus 2 on my level. I'm then taking out 4K on a Q of 2 minus 2, and I'm taking out 6K on a Q of 4 minus 4. Let's just... I've now left that at minus 6, okay, but I've kept the Q wider. I take a different approach in the different patches. Okay, so let's just save that as it is. You understand what's going on now. Now, in the other version, I thought, you know what, really don't like that tone still. So everything's set up the same way, but when we get to the cabinets, I've split them. I've taken the stereo link off, and on the right side, I've used the 50, what am I on? Yeah, the 57 on the right, 3 centimeters on the axis, and on the left I've used the ribbon 121 in the center, which is exactly what I've done on my 2 notes, okay? But then I've put the EQ, I've had to use 2 EQ blocks to do this. Boss, if you could build in an EQ set, can you give us more control of these blocks, please? You did the IR, whatever it is, 200, but give us more control over our blocks here, please, because I don't want to have to waste, for my main kind of tone patch, 2 EQs on the cabinet there to achieve this, but I prefer the results. And what I've done is I've taken on the ribbon 121, I've got minus 3, look at that on the bass, plus 1 on the highs, and then bump the level. Yeah, I think that's 3. I can't quite bend to get to the unit, but hopefully you can see that. Then I take out the 4K on a Q of 2, minus 2. So not as deep a cut. And the 6.5 minus 4, same. I've gone to minus 6 there. I'm going to do the same on this side. Okay, but what? Yeah, staying on this side. I've then got the high cut at 8, but on this one where the 57 is, I'm not taking as much of the bass out. Bump the level by 2. Let me just check. Yeah, it is 3. Now, the reason for that is if you're in headphones, I'm going to leave that like that. I think I made a mistake. So what I've done now is they're both the same level, plus 2, but this one's got minus 2 on the bass, and the 57's only got, yeah, minus 2. And the reason I've done that is where I've bumped this by 2 dB, that increases all the frequencies, okay? So I've taken out the lows. I didn't want the lows coming up with me. So let's just save that patch as it is. And let's hear the 3 tones. Let me just check. I haven't got, because I think I might have done the same thing on this Oh no, they're not split, are they? Yeah, you've got no control over that. So this is the first way. To me, that sounds better. And this is 2 notes. Now my 2 notes is quieter, but I have control over the level there. And if I just bump it by 1 dB, I now feel in the room a bit louder than GT1000. So I'm going to keep my 2 notes where it is, so they feel more level, so that when I do gigs with just GT1000 it's not so much of a leap. But I much prefer that way of doing the cabinet. Now let's have a little think about, have I spoken to you about, did I talk to you about this EQ first? So let's just hang on before we go charging off. What I've done, this EQ here, to me this makes the tone tighter when I'm layering guitars, okay? And in my head, what I'm doing is, if imagine the EQ line is a straight line across the screen, what I've done is I've created a 1 dB bump, no, 2 dB bump at 8K, at 800, and then another one at 1.25. I might have covered this in the previous patch, but what I've then done is brought the level down by 1. So hopefully the frequencies I don't want have been taken away and the ones I do want are being retained. And it's a very subtle move. But actually I quite like that as that is. But there's a lot more high energy there and I don't quite like that. So I'm going to just get rid of those because I don't like how that sounds in the room here. And that's how I've done that with that EQ. It's a very subtle move, but it's working for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start using some 2 notes patches first to just take a couple of loops. And what we'll do is let's, so you can see more of what's going on. I'm just going to turn the screen a little bit. And then maybe what we can do, so you can see the screen. So when it says Plexi on its own, we're in 2 notes patches, and we've got 3 of those. 2 of them are stereo. And then here, we've got 4, sorry. And then here, we've got the new GT1000 one that I did, which is GT Plexi. And then GT2 Plexi is the first way, okay? Because I'm probably going to end up deleting that or overwriting it with. Okay, so let's see how this goes. We're going to stick it into a mix. I'm live looping using obviously the RC600 on the floor. I say obviously, you might not know about it. Let's go to both pickup positions. Let's now that is just in my stereo patch. We've got all the same principles applied, only I've not got that this EQ is handling the 500 cut and 125 boost or cut depending on what's happening with the amp, okay? Now here we just have an auto wire at the front of the chain and at the back of the chain. I'm doing this like you can see close up on the screen and you can't, so I'm gonna, there's a chorus after the amp and an auto wire before the amp. Gonna hit play on the loopers, there'll be a beat and a bass. my backing loops. Let's bypass the looper and let's start off with 2 notes. So we've got the same tones. Let's stick on a treble boost and a reverb. Back pickup. This is now the first version. Okay, so I'm just going to stick on, we're in the GT1000 patch where I've got it set up with the stereo split off. I'm going to stick on the pitch shifter. We're going to come in with a crash bang wallop. Turn the gain pot on the guitar all the way up. Gonna go low gain, neck pickup, gain pot about halfway. Gonna go to 2 notes version. Okay, hopefully we're going to hear those differences. Just before we head out of town, let's go back to the the first way of setting up GT1000 like that. The second way. No volume changes, no EQ changes, just what I did with the cabinet and what I showed you. Yeah, I really like that difference. I would feel happier using that. It's not quite my 2 notes, but then 2 notes is a very specialised, dedicated piece of gear, and I wish Bosch would hook up with them. Catch you later. Bye-bye.